Have you ever had people break into your house to steal pieces of your pinball machine? Two gamers who have filed a lawsuit versus Ubisoft claim this is exactly what Ubisoft has done by shutting off the servers for the crew. So let's break this down. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I am your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who still doesn't understand the pain of his opponent immediately showing Mewtwo EX. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, have you at least downloaded Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket yet?
I am back.
Wait.
Did you start?
I did.
Sweet.
I didn't
How's it
realize. I didn't realize you left, and you actually kind of came back right after I threw it to you.
Oh, really?
Like there was like maybe a 3-second pause.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Let's roll with it.
Okay.
I'm sure my intro was great. You'll have to tell me what it was later. I thought you would check in one more time, and I was like, oh, I probably got time to go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, I did. I said, all right. And then there was just a pause, and you were still muted. So I assumed, oh, he's just ready for me to start. So I started.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
you know those decisions where you're like, I should probably do something. Like in this case, I said, I should probably just put a message saying I'm going to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah.
But then, like, you just want life to be a little exciting for once.
Listen, I like to think that you and I operate like if we were, athletes in a sports game, right? I feel like you and I would have like a chemistry factor, right?
Yeah, like I'm your Randy Moss.
Exactly. And I feel like our chemistry is normally operating in the 90th percentile, right?
Yeah,
like
that's
so
fair.
so I think like you and I constantly are, sharing that same same brain and constantly on the same page and stuff. Today, we're just in like the 70s. We're in the 70th percentile.
Yeah, you know what?
Maybe I, threw one over the middle and you got fucking lit up because I'm a terrible quarterback. Who's to say? So,
But maybe the offensive line let a guy in and you had to throw over him, and I was just trying to make a play, and
hey,
just
I
consequences.
I appreciate that. Now this is like Terrell Owens, Tony Romo, like you're gonna cry in a press conference saying that I'm your quarterback, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, yep. You bet your ass. Even if it wasn't a catch.
That's okay. Now that's a Des Bryant joke, I think.
Ah, right. Sorry, I confused my crybaby bitch wide receivers.
Do you want to take a shot at Odell Beckham real quick, or
I was thinking about it. Whatever. He's good for a 9-yard hook these days, so.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, how was your week? What games did you play?
Oh man. Mario Party.
Hell yeah.
It was a travel week. Basically just Mario Party.
Nice.
Yeah.
We had a friend visit.
Hell yeah. They bring Mario Party?
They did not, no.
Kick 'em out.
I know. And of course, Shelby and I still haven't bought it yet. So, we're kind of the assholes. But did a little throwback, played some PS3 Call of Duty Zombies.
Amazing.
Kind of like riding a bike, we were playing on Black Ops, and it was like all the strats and stuff were just like immediately coming back to me, on like which direction to run on various maps, and like these are all the locations of the box and stuff. Pretty crazy that all that stuff has just been like locked away, and just like the tell me about the numbers, Mason, like caused it all to just like come rushing back. So
did you break out of the chair in the menu?
I did not. I should have showcased that.
Yeah.
But
had this person never played Black Ops before?
Like once or
at least
once or twice on like the Wii.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. He said he had played it on the Wii, way back. And it like wasn't his copy. Like it was at a friend's house. So he's only more familiar with like newer Call of Duty Zombies. But yeah, so that was a blast. That was a blast. Also busted
the
out.
Online for that is still up.
Dude, it is. So I jumped over to the multiplayer to do a couple rounds of the combat training. You know, let's run around Nuketown 9v2 sort of deal. There were 1,000 people, I think, online.
Wow.
I'm sure I didn't go into like the public lobbies to check like which game mode and stuff like that. But yeah, there was like 1,000 people still on, which is crazy.
We might need to crack one open for old time's sake.
Yeah.
I think I still got my little PS3 Bluetooth headset.
All right. I had honestly thought that they shut down the Black Ops servers. I don't know why I thought that, but I thought they did.
Well, I mean, they're 14 years old.
Sorry,
probably, right?
Not to say I don't know why I thought that. I think it's a very sane thing to think. I was so confident that I had read that they shut down the servers, I guess is more so. And I don't know why I thought that was such like a sure thing, but I think it's probably has to do with the fact that, like you were saying, it's so old that of course the servers would be off. Servers shut down for even less. Am I right, the crew?
Oh,
but that's not the segue yet. No, because I also did another blast from the past, and we had the Wii busted out, and so
you played Black Ops.
We made some Mii's, and then we hopped on and played some Black Ops. No, played some Wii Sports and some Wii Sports Resort.
Very nice.
Just the nostalgia hit was impeccable. So I had a lot of fun with that. I'm trying to think what else I got into. It's probably mostly it. We played the old school Lion King game for the Super Nintendo. Very difficult game. 0 out of 10 would not recommend.
Is that right?
Yes, that is right. And also, Shelby and I are getting very close to finishing up Super Metroid, so that's exciting.
Best game you've ever played?
Is Super Metroid the best game I've ever played?
Yeah.
No. But is it a very good game? Yes. Have I had a couple borderline meltdowns? Yes.
Yeah. That happens.
But yeah. No, it's good. I am really enjoying it.
That's fair. Super Metroid isn't even my favorite Metroid, so I just wanted to ask.
What's your favorite Metroid?
Fusion.
Is that only on Game Boy Advance?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I have that. I think we've.
I think now it's on the Switch emulator now.
Oh, like on the Nintendo Switch Online Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yep. Okay. God, Nintendo. I so smart. Why is the entire catalog not on there?
No idea. Because they just want to cuck you out.
Well, consider me cucked.
That's what I'm saying.
It is a very good game though, Super Metroid. Definitely it's definitely worthy of a play, and I still stand by that. It's not nearly as hard as I was expecting, but it definitely is a challenge. Which is it really is kind of the perfect level, I would say, for me at least. In terms of like that sort of game that has no difficulty setting, and you kind of just need to keep like practicing over and over again against the boss until you inevitably beat it. We've had a couple of moments where we felt like like, oh shit, should we be trying to run around? Because we're definitely not picking up everything. So we've had a couple of moments where it's like, should we be running around trying to find like another energy tank to like increase our health, or you know, like more missile storage and stuff like that. And then inevitably it's just like, no, we're just gonna keep marching on because that's just gonna take way too much time, or we're gonna have to like look a lot of stuff up, and then the bar none worst part of the game is the traversing the map is just so fucking like, it's just like it hurts my brain trying to like understand which direction I need to go and stuff, and then you think you're going the right way to see that like, oh nope, you actually need to go all the way back around and up, and yeah.
Fusion's a little more forgiving if you ever do play that.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get around to it at some point.
Dread is a pain in the ass.
Really?
Yeah, because there's like this like almost kind of subway system you need to take.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's just hard to remember exactly where everything was because it's not as structured as like other games.
Sure. I imagine Dread feels better though because of like uh just like quality updates, you know, to
Oh, I mean,
gaming in
Dread's
general.
amazing.
Yeah. Because that's another hang up I would definitely say I have, is the Super Metroid has all the charm of a Super Nintendo game, which is to say not a ton. like you're, because you're just using a D-pad to move and stuff, and like that always can lead to, you know, inevitably accidentally like going not quite the exact direction you want and stuff like that. Like anytime you need to do diagonals with a D-pad is like a tough ask.
Yeah.
But no, it's a lot of fun. We're probably gonna finish that up this week. So, but yeah, I think that's it. So wide variety of stuff played.
Yeah, it's a good week.
Good week, great week. You know who's not having a good week?
Every joke that came into mind was inappropriate, so why don't you just tell me?
All right, Ubisoft is not having a good week. Yeah, take that, corporation. How does it feel to be on the receiving end of a lawsuit?
Should have just made Splinter Cell.
Should have just made Splinter Cell. You're so right.
Could have been avoided. You French bastards.
Yeah, get him. Hit him again. I'll wait.
I don't need. Anyway.
So I said it at the top. We got two gamers who have filed a lawsuit against Ubisoft for shutting down the servers to the crew. A lot of good stuff in this in this lawsuit. My favorite part is the thing I alluded to, where the lawyers wrote in the lawsuit, quote, "Imagine you buy a pinball machine and years later you enter your den," love that word usage, "to go play it, only to discover that all the paddles are missing, the pinball and bumpers are gone, and the monitor that proudly displayed your unassailable high score is removed." The wordsmith who wrote that, first off, round of applause. You are hired to be George R. Martin's ghostwriter. Also, I think, you know, a bit of a stretch in terms of
tiny bit
of the imagery that's being used, but it evokes an emotion. It gets people on your side of the fight. I get it. I love it. I'm here for it. But yeah, I find the lawsuit. You know, I'm all for it. I think, yeah, let's go after them. Because this is something that I've said. I mean, probably a trillion times on this podcast at this point. When games are released, like The Crew, for example, and you constantly need to have like an internet connection, in order to just play the game, like whether or not other people are, present within your gameplay. I just don't understand like the necessity of the like constant connection. And the whole thing with the crew is very interesting. They did offer refunds, but only for people who had purchased it within like a certain time span. I think these two gamers, non-derogatory. I think it said one of them bought it in like 2018, one of them bought it in 2020, maybe. Yeah, 2018, 2020 on physical discs. The game originally released, I think, back in 2014. So a little bit into its life cycle, they bought the game, and then a decade into the game's life cycle, it's unplayable, right, at this point. And like, yeah, I'm here for it. I don't understand why games are set up like this, because I do also think the flip side of it is buying a game that has servers and enjoying that like game mode, right, and expecting it to exist forever is somewhat foolish.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously like there's a lot of cost to it and stuff like that. And as much as I want to sit here and be like, no, like as something releases, it should always be available. Like that's not necessarily just like doable. So I can concede, to that end. But to have a game be just completely unplayable after spending really any amount of money on it just feels so wrong.
I would love to know why they can't just pull the online resources. Like, is it really that the map can't generate without being connected online, or
I don't
what?
know. I mean, I know like have you played The Crew?
I have
So
briefly.
I know that there's like leaderboard stuff like because like as you're just driving down like random streets and stuff like that, like you'll eventually hit these things where it's like a speed check, right? And it's like drive as fast as you can from point A to point B, like reach the highest like speed possible. And then
Yeah,
you do
Forza's
it.
got things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And you do it, right? And then, so you hit 112 miles per hour, right? And it's like that's the fastest time of your friends. So it'll like show you your friend leaderboard, right? And then it'll like show you the like worldwide leaderboard or the all-time leaderboard, whatever. So like I know it has stuff like that, but like to your point, like if you're just pulling that stuff, it seems to me like that would be one of those things where it would like if you got to one of those marks, it would say like leaderboards unavailable, and then it would just show you your best time or best speed
Yeah.
or best whatever, right? Like it would show your mark like it always does, because 9 times out of 10 when I play these games, I maybe have like one person or two people on my friends list who have also opened the game even. So like normally all those leaderboards are just like when it's like the friend leaderboard, it's normally just me, and it's just a constant reminder of not having friends. Um,
I feel that.
uh, but yeah, I agree with you to that degree. I also sit here though, and to play devil's advocate, it's like one of those things where it's like I don't understand how to make a video game, and I don't understand how these things work. Right? Like um, we constantly see things where it's uh, like oh, I clipped through this wall, and uh, there was this tomato back here. I wonder what purpose or what Easter egg this is to serve as. And then the dev is like, that tomato has to be there or else the game crashes. Like we accidentally put it in there one day, and then we tried to remove it, and the game no longer worked, so we just put it back and never touched it again, right? Like so like games are like a fickle thing. I get it to some degree, right? Like any program can be. And
Mhm.
so as much as I want to sit here and be like, yeah, can't you just remove that part of it when you want to shut the servers down? Like to me, it's like one of those things where it's like from the jump, you just need to like build it that way, right? Like you just need to build it that there's a way for it to not have that part of it. And again, when it's a game that you can play just completely by yourself, right? Like you can literally in the crew, I think, turn off like matchmaking and stuff like that so that like you don't have random people um like crashing into you and stuff, and you're just in um your own effective server basically. And it's just like when if you can do that, then like why couldn't you just load it up in offline mode instead? Like
Right.
why wouldn't that be the option? Um yeah. There's definitely layers to this too. So cuz like another kind of prime example is Concord, right? Like that shutting down recently. But like that happened so close to its life, like so close to its launch that literally everybody was offered refunds, and like that's it, right? But when you get to the point where it's like a game that's been out for so long, um it's much harder to do something like that.
Yeah.
And this is a game that you like did have to pay for, right? If tomorrow Fortnite was just like we're shutting down the Fortnite servers, um I mean, I guess technically Fortnite wasn't always free, right? Because it originally started out as that like survival type game. But in the current state, as we understand it, as the free to play Goliath that it is, um, that would at least somewhat like be like okay, like it was always a free game, right? Like any money that you spent on it throughout its lifespan was not like strictly gameplay based, right? Like it was a lot of like cosmetic stuff.
Hmm.
So like still doesn't feel great, obviously, but it's just like it's a weird line with this stuff.
Yeah, I doubt that these two gamers are going to win this lawsuit. Um, because I'm sure that they're going to say, well, the expectation wasn't that this game was going to last forever, you know. Um, but I do wonder, like, what regulatory questions this lawsuit may bring up.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know if it's just disclosures that say, like, hey, you if you buy this game at your own risk, we may, shut the servers down at any predetermined and communicated time. Is it something like that, or is it like game developers? If it's a game like The Crew, where there's a very viable offline mode, you know, do you need to make that available for when servers go offline if you're paying full price for a game?
right.
Because I understand why people like are mad about this specifically because it was probably a $60 game when it came out.
Yep.
Um, and as far as you knew, you weren't renting it for
Right.
10 years.
Right.
Um, so in cases like that, like yeah, there should be some sort of viable play mode after you pay for it. Um, Kind of reminds me, I don't know if you remember the game Mag for PS3.
I can picture like the game cover, but I couldn't tell you about the game.
Yeah, it was like the largest online, like you could have 256 players in one server or something like that.
Okay.
It was like the largest online shooter ever. But that was a paid game. Like that was a $60 game and that got shut down relatively quick. And it's like you couldn't have included some sort of like bot, even a bot mode or local multiplayer, or whatever, something that was usable. Like I think you boot it up now. I should try because I have it, but if you boot it up, it just gives you a banner that says this game is no longer available. But um, I think for a paid game like that and The Crew, there should be some like a mandatory offline capability. Now, if it's like a free to play game like Fortnite, like whatever, it was a free game, and I know you pay for cosmetics and stuff, but again, maybe a disclaimer that says like anything you purchase in game may one day become unavailable.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's the thing, right? Like buying cosmetics and stuff like that. Like you don't need those to play the game, right? To actually play the game, you can pay nothing. I think that's kind
Yeah,
of that's kind of the line we're trying to like specify here.
right.
Um, yeah, I think just like more transparency is like the main key with all this stuff, right? Like to your point, you brought up like a pretty solid I think like level headed way of going about this, which is just like, hey, when you buy this game, like this game is constantly online, like you buy it at the risk of knowing that at some point the servers are inevitably going to shut down, and we are in no way capable. And you can get into all the like legal blah blah blah, right? But like more upfront and like just transparent about these things, because I think so often we as consumers get blindsided by stuff like this, and we really shouldn't, right? Like um I know the article specifically, I was looking at Polygon's coverage of this, and they touch on, in California specifically, which is where these two, gamers who are filing the lawsuit are from. Governor Gavin Newsom recently signed a bill into law that requires companies to tell consumers they're buying licenses, not games themselves, in online storefronts. So now, when you are on Steam and you're buying a game digitally, like you're not buying a game, you're buying a license for the game, and at some point that license could go away. And
Mhm.
again, it's been like that for how long, right? I think the problem is that like we're all kind of dumb, we're all kind of naive to these things, when you buy a game, you think I'm just buying the game. Of course I'm always going to have it forever. And that's not an unfair assumption, really. It's just not how things have worked now for, how long. And it sucks, but like it is how it is. And again, I think we've like made this cross into this, you know, uh, this era specifically, and there just hasn't been any transparency. There was no coverage of these things. There's no coverage of these facts. Um, and I think, yeah, I think what you said, like just providing more transparency up front with these types of things. I also agree with what you're saying though. Like a game like The Crew, a game, if you're paying money for it, there should be a viable offline mode for it.
Mhm.
Concord, how would you do it with that, right? Well, you could have a bot mode where you just go against you know, I don't know if Concord was 5v5, I'm assuming. So like you had 4 bots on your team against 5 other bots. These are all things that could definitely be built out. I get that like there's time and resources and energy that goes into doing those things, but if you're going to have a game that you're going to make consumers pay for, in my mind, they should be entitled to being able to play that game, even if you make the decision to shut down the servers. And
Mhm.
I think you summed it up perfectly with that.
I think that the big thing that maybe people will start realizing, it's funny, the past, at least this past generation, like I don't know that I've purchased any physical games
Mm-hmm.
like other than for Switch. But I'm like basically counting Xbox Series X. You know, I think people have the sense of safety when they have a disc in their possession,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not the game. Like games don't read off of discs anymore. They're too big. So, even if you own a physical game, you really own a digital game with a physical license.
Right.
And, I think that mindset will potentially change, with people saying, "Oh, I want to own my games." I think it might piss a lot of people off when they realize even if they have the physical game, like cool, you basically just bought a piece of plastic.
And that's probably been since PS3 era, right?
At least PS4.
Right.
I know PS3 did read most games off of disk. Um, like for example, Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PS3, like you literally had to switch discs halfway through the game.
Yes. Actually, it's
Um,
funny. I was just talking about this with somebody yesterday. You can't buy that digitally.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
That's what they were telling me. Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. I didn't confirm that. I didn't go boot up my PS3 and try and go to the store to see if I could buy it, but yeah. That wouldn't
It'd be a
surprise
big
me.
game.
That wouldn't surprise me. So,
Yeah. Yeah, 360 didn't even use Blu-ray. So like most games like had two discs.
mhm.
Uh so yeah, I would say probably more consistently around PS4 era when things started going downhill.
Yeah, okay, that tracks. Um yeah, I mean that's crazy. It's crazy to think about. And again, I feel like there wasn't it's like it's just one of those things where it's like if you know it, you know, but I bet the average person would still to this day think that like what are you talking about? I have the disc right here.
Mhm.
And it's like I have no other way of getting you to understand this than to tell you to wait 15 years and check again. It's just like,
Right.
are you sure it's still your game? Like, you know, and very well it could be still, but also there's technically no telling. Which
Yeah.
again is like the bummer of it all.
So what I'm hearing is stop buying PlayStation and Xbox games. Only buy Switch games.
Only by Switch games. Yeah. I think you're right. Um I know there's uh that's escaping me. There is a PC game storefront that you can buy your games from. And when you buy the game, you are buying the game. Like they
Oh,
give you
really?
the whole yeah, and it's escaping me. And somebody will be able to tell me. It's not obviously it's not Steam. Oh man, that's really gonna bother me. Anyway, that's really your safest when it comes to like buying digital games specifically. Like that's your safest bet. That's as safe as it gets. Because you're given like all the files
Right.
when you buy it. You're not just given the license, and it's not just booted up through you know a launcher and stuff like that. um but yeah, it's a shame that even buying physical um doesn't actually mean you have it in perpetuity or that the game will even be playable, like the case for these two plaintiffs who bought the crew. And again, it's just like there's just so many games where it doesn't make sense. You know, the crew being one of them. Was it Redfall? Wasn't Redfall like needed a constant internet connection there for a bit, and then there was like a ton of backlash, and I think they then made it that like you didn't always have to be connected. I
Yeah, I
could
think
be
you're right.
misremembering, but and even there, like they had good reason for why they wanted you to have a constant connection because of like they were going to just be pulling, gameplay information, stuff like that, and it was going to allow them to target, certain bug fixes and things like that. And I can appreciate that, but also like you should be able to opt in and out of that, right? Like,
Right.
it shouldn't be that you're necessarily forced into it. I think the reasoning is sound. I think the reasoning is good, but the execution is unnecessary. Um, so yeah. I would love to see us get away from this, but it feels like we've only crept closer and closer to it, towards it, and needing this like constant connection with games and stuff. And um, not a fan.
No, and I think one of two things can happen. Either we can actually move back to a place where if you buy a game, it's yours, or we like I don't know how to really phrase it, but basically decriminalize emulating.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you supposed to do?
No, 100%. Yeah, I mean, this is always where we end up back at with these conversations, right? Where it's like, if you don't give people um a throughway to like purchasing or playing a game, then you can't sit there and say it's morally unjustifiable to use emulation, to use ROMs and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, it's
And
true.
I
It's
don't,
truly the most important thing when it comes to like game preservation.
yeah. And I don't think that remastering it is the correct answer.
No, absolutely not. It's not the same at all.
No.
It's
Like
a
it's
it's
technically not the same game that you paid for. And of course,
right.
you got to pay for it again.
I would say it's at least a step in the right direction.
Sure.
Because like when you look at like the secondhand game market, if you want to go out and play Pokemon Emerald, um, you have to pay. Well, I think you actually need to sell a kidney, as like a
That's
fair.
all. Like you go to any game store and they just have a
Yeah,
scalpel right there and
it's
they cut it out of
it's
you.
yeah, yep. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
uh, yeah, like it's ridiculous that there's no way for somebody to like wake up today and say I'm gonna play Pokemon Emerald, uh, unless they already own it, basically.
Right.
Um, and sure, you can go out and do the uh I don't even know. I don't want to say like do the right thing and pay $150 for it. Like you can do that and have a true physical in your hand emerald, but you could also go to any number of sites, I'm sure, and pull down a rip of it and play it and have the same experience technically.
Do you think an emerald, like the gemstone at this point, is cheaper than Emerald, the Pokemon game?
Let's figure this out. Going to just Google price of one emerald. Um, let's see, Colombian emerald. I'm seeing like $2,000.
So if we should weigh a Game Boy Advance game and figure out how many grams it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like I'm trying to figure out. Let's see, a 1 carat emerald is 6.68 millimeters by 4.95 by 3.22. Is that roughly the size of a Game Boy cartridge?
1 carat? Absolutely not.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say probably not. I would say that the Pokemon Emerald is still probably cheaper on the secondhand market than it is to buy the
But the fact
jewel.
that we had to figure it out.
But the fact that we had to sit here and question it, what I'm realizing is emeralds are very expensive.
Yeah.
Like they are yeah, they're
How about rubies?
okay. Give me a sec. And I already know you're gonna ask about a sapphire.
No, we don't need to take time.
Oh, okay. Price of 1 ruby. Expensive, but apparently on Amazon I can buy a certified natural ruby by Get Gemstones for $44.
I mean, that's got to be cheaper than Ruby to
So
begin
if
with.
that's good enough for you, then yes, I would say that it is. Now this says rubies can run as little as $1 a carat to 100,000 plus,
There you go.
depending on the 4Cs. Thanks, the Natural Ruby Company. I'm sick and tired of your propaganda. Could you imagine? Because we're getting into that time of year. Could you imagine? When do we think Ruby, Emerald, Sapphire? When was that generation? 05, maybe. 04.
It was like 2002, wasn't it?
Really?
Because I think Leaf Green was 04, 05. I can tell you that Leaf
Oh
Green
my
came out
god.
before 06.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you feel old?
Oh my god, you were right. Ruby and Sapphire came out in 02. Emerald was 05, but Leaf Green and Fire Red came out in between uh, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Shit's old.
If I remember correctly. Bro, that... I'm just double checking. Yeah. Yeah, Leaf Green, Fire Red came out in 04, it looks like. Dude, wow. Fuck. Okay, well, it's 2002. November 21st, Pokemon Ruby, Pokemon Sapphire just came out. You're a kid. You're really excited. So you write down, I want Ruby for Christmas.
Yeah.
And your parents buy you the gem.
You should have seen what they did when I asked for Omega Ruby in 2012 or whenever that was.
Uh-oh. Oh, man. That's... what a funny thing to ponder. Also, the fact that Ruby in 2011 probably was what? Game Boy Advance games were probably $40, $50.
Probably.
And now it's probably 3x at least. Crazy.
It was probably even less than that. Like, I bought Luigi's Mansion. I actually still have the sticker on it, so I can tell you exactly what I paid for it, but I can't see it from here. I'm gonna go look. Give me a second.
Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds. Take all the time you need. I'm trying to figure out how much. I'm trying to see if I can find an old article that says how much these games were.
I bought Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube. I think it was when we were in high school. Maybe early college. I can't remember that part. But guess how much I paid for it?
$30.
$1.99.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I bought that in high school.
Luigi's Mansion.
I know, like in the heat and the
GameCube. Oh my god.
during COVID, it was up there.
Yeah. Pretty consistently, like bottom line is like $50. It looks like. I'm sure eBay could fluctuate a little bit lower depending, but
Yeah. I know during COVID it was a couple $100.
yeah, the secondhand games market is ridiculous. I'm in the weeds of it constantly. I found an old IGN article about Fire Red, Leaf Green, and they have in there that $40. So that's what Game Boy Advance games cost back in 04. A new Game Boy Advance game was $40.
Oh, you were saying new.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
I'm guessing Pokemon games, even if you were buying them secondhand, if I remember correctly, those almost never dropped below like 25. I know now you can actually find some of the 3DS ones for pretty cheap, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
But like plenty of the DS ones have like completely bloated. Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, like those have all bloated. But I would imagine that if you traded one in, or were trying to buy one pre-owned at like a GameStop or something back in like 2008, 2009, you were still probably paying at least $25 to $30, and you had no guarantees that it wasn't a fucking repro because GameStop doesn't give a shit about you.
Right.
And another thing.
When go ahead.
I was just gonna hammer GameStop some more.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
No, why did we let them live? Why did we let them live? On their deathbed, we could have pulled the plug. And we were like, no, but for the memes.
Exactly. The memes.
And now you can get your Pokemon cards graded through them.
And that's about it, right?
Yeah, or buy a Funko Pop. They're running another 4-for-1 deal. So please, clutter your house some more. Yeah. You can buy... What?
No, tell me.
You can buy... This is... I'm making this up. You can buy 4 Funko Pops for the price of 1.
Oh. That's a good deal.
Yeah. Oh, you can get 4 times... You can get 4 times the shit for the price of shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to anybody who collects Funko Pops.
I mean, like... Yeah, do your thing, but it takes up so much space.
It does.
I literally have 2. And one is like a mini, like, baby Groot bobblehead that I've had for 10 years now. I think my brother got it for me right before I went to college. And then I have a Halo 5 Master Chief that I eventually ended up getting for free. And, like, I'm looking at the Master Chief box, and I think this is, like, a standard size Funko thing, and, like, it's not an insignificant amount of space.
It's not small.
Yeah.
Yeah. I refuse. There have been times where I've been tempted. But at the end of the day, I'm always just like, how can I really tell that that's Nathan Drake versus Joel from The Last of Us? They all look the same. Yeah. Not to be that guy. Not to be racist towards Funko Pops.
I was gonna say, you saying all white heroes look the same?
I'm saying, uh-oh. Yeah, I've been tempted by a few. Like, I love Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. Sure. But it's I have an addictive personality, so I know as soon as I get one, I would go crazy. So it only helps if I put it down and say, like, it's stupid. It's the only way I can convince myself not to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The amount of times I've had like a Boba Fett or a Mandalorian in my hands.
Yup.
But I just know, like, okay, I'm just gonna get Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. And then one day I'd walk past and see like a Darth Vader. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I already have one. I might as well get another.
I've got a spot for him now.
I built that specific shelf, so I might as well. Anyway, if you make a game and you have servers for it, is it so much to ask that you also give us a way to play that same game, but off those servers, if we're paying for it? That's all we're asking for. And I feel like that shouldn't be too much to ask for.
Well said.
Anything else you wanted to touch on?
No.
All right. I would imagine we have got to be getting very close to finding out the nominees for the Game Awards. So I think I feel like this year is going to be very tough for us because I don't know what it is. I feel like last year we were very on top of stuff. We knew about all the things that were coming out. It was so obvious and very in your face, all these great games and stuff. Last year was kind of like just a crazy year, it feels like, for releases and stuff. And I'm sitting here now and I'm like, I have no idea. There's going to be so many games that I'm going to be like, that came out this year, or what the hell is this game? So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to maybe discover some games, which could be cool. And then we can be like, yeah, we're the ones who found out about this first, and we can kind of champion that. But I'm guessing that it's going to be coming up soon, and we'll be getting to do our normal end of the year type coverage of all those events, which is always a blast. Other than that, thank you all so much for listening. If you could do us a favor and leave us a rating or review wherever you do listen to the podcast, that would be greatly appreciated. And as always, if you could share the podcast with a friend, that would also help us out. Other than that, we will talk to you next week.